There are moments in life when it feels as if the world suddenly leans in, not to trip you, but to reveal a side of yourself you've never met before. As each challenge arises, it's not chaos at work, it's a carefully woven tapestry, each thread carrying an intention beyond the surface. What may look like opposition or malice from others is often the stage for your unique energy to break through, quietly rewriting every false rumor, every jealous whisper, every attempt to paint your spirit in the wrong colors. Where someone tried to cast a shadow over your name, a window opens, letting the truth flood in. As stories circulate, people soon see with their own eyes the difference between what was said and what is real, and it's in those moments that your light starts to draw new believers. The universe doesn't waste an experience. What's been used against you transforms, in time, into the very reason you stand out. When people witness contradictions between rumor and reality, something inside them wakes up. The very ones who once doubted quietly shift their allegiance, becoming voices that now celebrate what they once questioned. Behind the surface, a much larger story is unfolding, one that operates far outside what most people can see or measure. Critics and adversaries may imagine they're going toe-to-toe with you, but in truth, they're colliding with a force woven through every part of your existence, a current that can't be pushed aside by ordinary resistance. Each falsehood hurled your way is quietly tracked by an order no one controls, and every scheme is mirrored back, often more perfectly than anyone could have planned. Those who try to block your rise quickly realize they're up against something they can't outmaneuver, a principle that ultimately answers only to itself. What's meant for you can't be stolen, and every obstacle becomes evidence that something greater is fighting on your behalf, in ways human hands can't replicate or fake. The reason these cycles keep spinning in your direction is simple. There's a core within you that refuses imitation. It can't be worn like a mask or learned like a trick. It's not tied to systems or names or any doctrine. It's the frequency of genuine power. Wherever you go, invisible walls start to crumble, and those who live on pretense feel the urge to scatter. Your very presence upends illusions, reshapes spaces, and makes it impossible for anything fake to survive long in your light. Rare are those who can walk into a room and cause truth itself to rearrange. There's an invisible shift when genuine presence enters. Conversations take unexpected turns, hidden motives can't hide, and what's real begins to surface on its own. It's not intimidation that triggers this change, but the rare honesty that radiates from those who refuse to play pretend. The more that others try to mute this frequency, the more it echoes, rippling out and making every attempt at sabotage futile. Every move to shut you out seems to have the opposite effect. Obstacles don't hold you back. Instead, they become stepping stones, each one hurling you further into your own greatness. It's as if the unseen forces surrounding you keep tally, ensuring that every challenge transforms into momentum. Where jealousy thought it would trap you, it only taught you to leap higher. Every time resistance grows, so does your reach, as if some unseen law guarantees your rise. It's almost uncanny how every season of struggle seems to end with an unexpected opening, a door you never saw before, swinging wide as soon as the pressure peaks. The cycles repeat, intense resistance, followed by a flood of new possibilities. Those who once tried to limit you often end up watching in awe as your influence expands into places they never imagined. Breakthroughs seem to arrive on the heels of adversity, as if the universe itself is invested in your story. Sometimes those who were once your allies lose their way, led astray by distractions and easy promises. In their quest for quick approval or fleeting satisfaction, they drift from the connection that could have been their anchor. The pain of losing someone to their own confusion is real, but it also clears space for new bonds built on mutual respect and truth. Lessons learned through loss often lead to greater clarity about who truly belongs in your circle. Every experience, good or painful, becomes part of the mosaic that sets you apart. Mistakes made by others, though difficult, are not yours to carry. They become silent reminders of your own growth. The story unfolds, piece by piece, as each challenge, disappointment, or moment of clarity adds another layer to the foundation you're building. The path might twist and turn, but every setback is just another signal that you are still ascending, still called to something greater, and still untouchable in your authenticity. It takes a certain kind of courage to keep moving forward when others expect you to crumble. The view from afar is a harsh mirror for those who turned away, especially when their own carefully crafted world starts coming apart while you move steadily ahead. The contrast is undeniable. Your calm resilience is a quiet storm that unsettles anyone who once tried to write you off. Their decisions echo back to them, louder with each passing day, reminding them of what was freely given and lost by choice. Restlessness grows in those left behind, gnawing at the edges of their comfort. The sight of your happiness, your steady ascent, becomes a relentless reminder of what they surrendered. Instead of being surrounded by the warmth you once offered, they find themselves isolated in the cold reality of their own making. Attempts to push you out only led them deeper into their own loneliness, while you discovered new dimensions of peace that can't be shaken by outside noise. There comes a point where holding your tongue is no longer about keeping the peace but about honoring your own truth. Silence, once a protective shield, begins to feel like a cage. There's a time for patience and a time for clarity, and life is about to place the spotlight directly on you. When you finally choose to speak, the ripple of your words will move farther than any rumor ever did. The world is about to witness the strength that grows in the quiet. Memories linger, precise, vivid, impossible to erase. Every story, every interaction, every turning point sits just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to be seen. What was gathered over the years wasn't out of spite, but from a sense that one day, understanding would require proof. Life gave you the foresight to hold onto fragments others would forget, shaping a record that stands without effort. Now, the moment approaches when all the hidden pieces fall into place. Without grand declarations or dramatic scenes, your consistency and authenticity become the clearest testimony. Those who tried to twist the narrative find themselves running in circles, while your steady path draws even the skeptics closer. The irony is that your quiet strength was always the loudest presence in the room, and now, no one can deny it. Endurance becomes its own kind of wisdom. Those who walk through storms with dignity gather a kind of respect that can't be forged any other way. Each season that passes turns intentions into outcomes, quietly revealing who built their house on truth and who tried to rearrange the story to fit their own plans. Actions taken in silence become visible in time, outshining any attempt to rewrite history with rumor or accusation. Eyes have been drawn to your journey, not just bystanders, but those who once sat in judgment. Every time you met harshness with patience, or met betrayal with calm, you rewrote the script that others tried to assign you. These moments spoke volumes, building a legacy that goes deeper than any public defense ever could. Quiet integrity creates its own following, and soon, the truth that's been living in the background finds its way to the center stage. Truth has a way of preparing its own unveiling. Everything you've quietly remembered, every detail you held close, starts to fit together like a puzzle. The very stage that once felt hostile now begins to feel like an invitation, a place where what's been hidden will finally be seen. The stories others tried to bury are about to surface, and the weight of those truths will reset the balance, letting reality speak for itself. A tipping point always arrives, a single spark that shifts the entire perspective. Events and revelations that once seemed impossible to prove suddenly emerge in full view, dissolving the masks that others worked so hard to keep in place. Reputations are restored not by argument, but by the undeniable force of lived experience and the testimony of those touched along the way. Even those who doubted begin to question the stories they once believed. Sometimes the greatest irony is that relentless pursuit only draws more attention to its target. The harder someone tries to erase your influence, the more unmistakable it becomes. People start to notice not just the outcome, but the motivation behind every attempt to discredit you. What was meant to harm ends up illuminating the path, turning opposition into unexpected proof of your value. The very energy once spent trying to break you becomes the current that carries your story further than you ever imagined. Some lives become so electric that even opposition turns into a spotlight. When your name lands in conversations among strangers, curiosity takes root, not because you chased attention, but because others can't seem to let your presence go. The harder they try to diminish your light, the more they unwittingly magnify it. Scrutiny, once meant to limit you, has only made your strengths harder to ignore. New eyes are drawn in, eager to understand what's really happening beneath the noise. In the midst of all this, someone from your past stands at a crossroads of regret, quietly absorbing the storm that was never theirs to control. Their vantage point lets them see both the shadows and the sunrise. It's impossible to look away from your quiet strength and the way you rise above every challenge. Choices once made in haste now reveal their true cost, and the pain of misplaced loyalty becomes its own kind of lesson. There's a restlessness that settles deep inside anyone who's witnessed both sides, the rumors and the reality. Reminders of what they once shared with you haunt their nights, memories resurfacing with a clarity that can't be pushed away. Knowing what's true and seeing it denied by others has left them caught in a silent struggle between conscience and fear. The urge to speak up grows stronger with every day they watch justice delayed. As the weight of silence grows, there comes a tipping point, an inner reckoning that no longer allows for quiet observation. The urge to bring hidden truths into the light becomes impossible to resist. When the dam finally breaks, it unleashes a flood that washes away every distortion. The truth bursts forth, overwhelming the landscape of lies and restoring balance to the story that needed to be told. But the beauty of all this is the transformation forged in the fire. Every test, every loss, every slander sharpened your insight and solidified your integrity. The challenges weren't meant just to test your endurance. They were shaping you into someone who could carry a much greater purpose. What once felt like an attack has become the very force that prepares you for the next stage, elevating you to a place where only the real can thrive, and nothing false can survive. Some journeys demand opponents, not to defeat you, but to refine you into something that can't be broken. Each obstacle, each unexpected hardship, wasn't random. It was sharpening skills and instincts that will serve you far beyond these current challenges. Unknowingly, those who tried to trip you up have equipped you with the very tools you need for triumph. The twists they set in your path only made you more agile and ready for greater victories. Not all eyes that witness your rise are strangers. Some belong to those in positions of power, quietly observing how you navigate storms with unwavering calm and resolve. These silent observers have seen your restraint and are about to offer invitations that will take your journey to heights you never imagined. Doors that once seemed sealed by opposition are about to swing open, transforming former battlegrounds into arenas for your next success. Support is gathering from places you never thought possible. People once distant are now drawn to your side, recognizing the steadiness you've displayed under pressure. Resources and rewards that were delayed are about to arrive with a momentum that can't be stopped by human hands. What was withheld is returning, multiplied, turning attempted blockades into a surge of new beginnings and prosperity. Those who engineered turmoil are about to face the outcome of their own decisions. Patterns that were hidden will soon be laid bare, exposing the true motives behind every twist and turn. What they hoped to keep secret will surface, not because you forced it, but because the world is ready to see the difference between facade and authenticity. The scales are about to tip, making the truth impossible to ignore. When the dust settles, your approach will surprise those who expected retaliation. Genuine power isn't in crushing opposition, but in bringing restoration to what was broken. The goal was never to tear down, but to prevent further harm. When all is revealed, the grace and dignity you extend will be remembered long after the battles have faded, and those who supported you through it all will know they witnessed something truly rare, the making of someone who overcame not through vengeance, but through vision. Some bonds are forged in such intense seasons that their strength becomes legendary. Those who stood beside you weren't just showing kindness, they were aligning with a journey that would carry them to heights they never expected. The faithfulness they showed during adversity has carved a permanent place for them at your table when the celebrations begin. Lifelong connections, built on tested trust, are about to see their loyalty returned 100-fold. Elsewhere, Those who chose distance are living through a different season. What once seemed like a smart move is now a source of deep, unshakable remorse. Watching you thrive has become a daily reminder of a path they walked away from for the comfort of illusions. The knowledge that something authentic slipped through their fingers lingers in the quiet spaces of their lives, an ache that won't fade with time. For some, the urge to return is overwhelming, but it's colored with anxiety and humility. Not all apologies are equal, and not every bridge deserves to be rebuilt. Forgiveness in your hands is an act of liberation, freeing yourself from the weight of old hurts, but not obligating yourself to restore lost places in your life. Some lessons can only be learned at a distance, and wishing someone well doesn't always mean opening the door again. Experience has transformed your view of relationships. You've learned the delicate balance between having a generous heart and setting wise limits. Invitations to reconnect will arrive, some heartfelt, others calculated. Explanations will be offered, stories of confusion, pressure, or regret. Yet the growth you've gained will make it clear who truly deserves a second chance and who is only seeking shelter from your rising star. With every layer of this journey, your perception has sharpened, and your ability to see through motives has become nearly instinctive. The opportunity to finally share your story is on the horizon. When you speak, it won't be out of bitterness, but with a clarity and gravitas that commands the room. The silence you kept wasn't empty. It was gathering power, and now the stage is set for your truth to be heard and respected. All the rumors, all the half-truths, have built an audience that is now eager to hear your reality. The timing of your breakthrough isn't random. It's arriving exactly when it will make the deepest impact. Your story is about to become a touchstone for many, not just clearing your name but giving others a blueprint for navigating storms with dignity. This is more than a personal victory. The lessons people learn from witnessing your transformation will ripple through your entire community, revealing the cost of careless judgment and the reward of unwavering integrity. You're about to become a living reminder that authenticity outlasts every distortion, and your example will light the way for countless others who long for truth to win. Sometimes, transformation happens so completely that those around you are compelled to pay attention. Where once your name was just a subject for idle gossip, it's now becoming a reference point for wisdom and clarity. Questions start finding their way to your doorstep, and perspectives that were once dismissed are suddenly sought out for guidance. A quiet authority emerges, not claimed, but recognized. What once appeared to be random strokes of good fortune begin to reveal their deeper design. Patterns emerge that point to something beyond human planning, interventions that can't be explained by luck alone. Moments when you should have faltered instead became the proof that unseen hands were at work. What others called coincidence now stands as clear evidence that you have always been surrounded by a shield that can't be breached. No attempt to tarnish your light has succeeded, not for lack of trying, but because some things can't be dimmed by human effort. Attempts to undermine you only highlighted the distinction between you and those who opposed you. In the end, the difference becomes so stark that even the most determined critics are forced to admit there's something extraordinary at play, something they can't manipulate or erase. Efforts to discredit you have only returned to their source, revealing the truth behind every whisper and every accusation. Unspoken conversations and hidden actions are being drawn out of the shadows, their secrecy dissolving in the glare of truth. What was intended to silence you now serves to amplify the authenticity of your story, leaving those who tried to rewrite your narrative exposed. Witnesses who once watched from the background now find themselves compelled to speak in your favor, turning private doubts into public endorsements. Those who sought to reduce your influence are met with the reality that your reach has only expanded. The audience once gathered by rumor now gathers for revelation, and the voices that once tried to contain you are quieted by the undeniable clarity of your emergence. It's only in hindsight that the full meaning of every setback and trial becomes visible. Each hardship, every misunderstanding, every moment you were underestimated, served as a catalyst for the growth and clarity that now define you. The tapestry of your journey is woven with threads of pain and resilience, And the final design is more powerful than any single moment of struggle could ever suggest. All of it has led to this unfolding chapter, where your purpose is undeniable and your influence unstoppable. There are moments when your story shifts from background noise to the main theme, where echoes of old judgments fade and a new chorus rises. What began as idle talk now evolves into a celebration, the name once spoken in hushed tones now shared with admiration and joy. Reality has a way of settling scores that arguments never could. The people who once constructed stories about you to justify their own behavior now find those narratives dissolving in the clear light of what you've become. The assumptions they clung to as shields are crumbling, replaced by the undeniable substance of your presence. What once felt like a struggle to be seen has become effortless visibility. No spotlight needed, no announcement necessary. The difference is so striking that even those with the strongest convictions against you are forced into silence, awestruck by the depth of your transformation. It's not just in your demeanor, either. Your actions, decisions, and the direction of your life now serve as constant reminders that reinvention is possible. People who encounter you sense a new atmosphere, one that demands honesty, both with themselves and with the stories they tell about the world. Encounters that once spiraled into old cycles now stop before they can even begin, unable to breach the boundaries you quietly uphold. The gravitational pull of your growth compels others to either rise or retreat. Neutrality has become an illusion. Those who once believed their judgments were final now realize their influence was always temporary. They watch as doors open for you that remained closed to them, not out of favoritism, but because you did the work they refused to do. Jealousy can no longer masquerade as concern, nor can condescension dress itself as advice. The masks fall away, and every interaction reveals its true nature, stripped of pretenses. Meanwhile, you have become a catalyst, an inadvertent agent of change. In your wake, others feel stirred to reconsider their own stagnant narratives. Some wrestle with discomfort as their excuses are exposed. Others are inspired to initiate their own transformations. The ripple effect travels further than you'll ever know, sending waves into communities, families, and circles that rarely cross paths with your own. You've become living proof that change is not only possible, but inevitable when one is willing to pay the price of honesty. This shift is mirrored in the opportunities and relationships that now find their way to you. People of substance, depth, and integrity gravitate into your life as if summoned by a silent beacon. Collaborations flourish in an environment of mutual respect, and creative endeavors gain momentum without the friction of misunderstanding or misalignment. There's a sense that the universe itself is clearing a path, setting the stage for endeavors that once seemed out of reach. Even setbacks have a different flavor now. Where failure once felt like a personal indictment, it's now recognized as a necessary teacher, a course correction instead of a sentence. Mistakes are no longer sources of shame, but stepping stones, each one bringing you closer to mastery, each one teaching you more about your own limits and possibilities. Growth is not linear, but every detour and delay is infused with meaning that only becomes clear in hindsight. The judgments of the past no longer sting. Instead, they become reminders of how far you've traveled. The words that used to haunt you now fade like background static, replaced by the quiet confidence of someone who has learned to trust their own perspective. External validation is nice, but it's no longer required. The applause or critique of others no longer dictates the rhythm of your days. This doesn't mean isolation or indifference. It's a deeper belonging, a resonance with your own values that allows you to connect from a place of abundance instead of lack. Vulnerability, once a source of anxiety, has transformed into a wellspring of strength. You share your story not to be understood, but to offer understanding. You hold space for others' pain, but no longer at the expense of your own peace. As you continue to grow, new abilities begin to surface. Discernment sharpens, intuition becomes second nature, and decision-making feels less like guesswork and more like a practiced art. Patterns reveal themselves in the behaviors of those around you, and you find yourself recognizing motives and energies with a clarity that once eluded you. This insight is not a weapon, but a shield, a quiet assurance that guides you away from unnecessary entanglements and toward spaces where your gifts are truly valued. Time itself seems to move differently now. Moments expand, possibilities multiply, and serendipity weaves a golden thread through your days. Opportunities that once required endless striving now appear almost effortlessly, as if in response to your readiness. The more you align with your purpose, the more reality rearranges itself to accommodate your vision. Your transformation is not just personal, it's collective. The standards you set, the boundaries you enforce, and the compassion you embody become templates for others seeking to rise above their circumstances. You become a reference point for what is possible, the evidence that old wounds can heal and that new stories can be written. People begin to notice changes in themselves after spending time in your presence, even if they can't explain why. It's not always comfortable to be the standard bearer for growth. There are moments when your own expansion triggers resistance or resentment in those around you. Old friends may drift away, family members may misunderstand, and colleagues may project their own fears onto your journey. Yet, as you look back, the emptiness left by those departures is always filled with richer connections, new lessons, and deeper peace. At this point, doubt becomes a relic of the past. The self who once questioned their path has been replaced by one who trusts the unfolding. There is less urgency to force outcomes, more willingness to allow what is meant to stay and what is meant to leave. Each day begins with curiosity, a sense of adventure about what new miracles and challenges will surface. As you inhabit this new chapter, your life takes on the qualities of a myth, a story that inspires, guides, and challenges those who hear it. You become the example of possibility, the person whose very existence is a reminder that nothing is set in stone, that every moment holds the potential for rebirth. Those who witness your journey may not understand every detail, but they can't deny the results. They see the consistency, the glow, the confidence, and the peace. They watch as you navigate life's storms without losing your way, as you rebound from setbacks with wisdom and humor, as you create connections rooted in truth rather than obligation. In the end, your greatest legacy is not what you accumulate or accomplish, but who you become. The energy you radiate, the inspiration you spark, and the example you set are the gifts you offer the world. And in this season, it's clear that the world is ready to receive them.